the criminals now know if they could get into an IT provider, then that lets them get into potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of endpoints, depending on what size provider they get. Don't tell nobody.
Telling everybody? Shh.
The jig is up, buddy. Word's out. That's already out.
Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right. Protect your patience. Day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with hip hop. Let's get it right.
So Donna, today, for whatever reason, you decided to pick a topic that is not near and dear to my heart. In fact, I do not like talking about this topic at all. And it is talking about when your IT provider is the target. And I would say that a lot of MSPs feel this way. Like we want to talk about protecting other people and then being the target. We don't like to think about us being the target because it's not just us. Like I'm okay accepting the risk of somebody attacking my business. I'm not okay with the risk that through my business, they're also potentially going to hammer my entire client base. I'm not a fan of that at all.
It's not the day you want to see ever happen, right?
It is not. And, if you're a normal other type of business, you've got client data somewhere. But we don't have just client data. We have client access to client data. So it's a big, big responsibility. And, who was it? Spider-Man that said, with great responsibility. But anyway, let's dive into this report. This is a report from ConnectWise. It does talk about things throughout 2024, but the report didn't come out until 2025. So we'll talk about it. None of this has changed except maybe gotten worse in some areas.
Yeah.
But it's worth talking about. And if you're an MSP, obviously you want to listen because we're talking about you. If you aren't an MSP, don't shut it off because you probably, you got, even if you don't have an MSP, maybe you got internal IT, you still have the fact that you're bringing risk into your environment. And you need to understand what that risk looks like. If you're hired an MSP, these are the things we worry about. And if you ask your MSP, are you worried about these things? If their answer is unsettling, then maybe you should ask more questions. I'm just saying that there should be some level of concern about some of this.
Well, it shouldn't be, oh, yeah, we have nothing to worry about. We're locked down. We're solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should say, we worry about it constantly.
Yes, it is. I think one of your rules is we all freak out together. So that's what we do. So let's dive into this report a little bit. This was done by the ConnectWise Cyber Research Unit, otherwise known as ConnectWise Crew.
Yeah. Everybody's got to have an acronym, right?
Yep. All right. So the cybersecurity threats evolving rapidly. MSPs are increasingly in the crosshairs as targets in the IT ecosystem. I honestly don't know why it took this long for them to be a massive target. I guess we were all quiet, like maybe nobody knows. Maybe the criminals don't know what an MSP is. Let's not tell them.
Yeah, but I mean, when was it? What was the first? Well, we had the SolarWinds attack, but there's one before that. Was it Kaseya that got hit? Okay, so first of all, if you're not an MSP, what you need to understand is it's not like they just go to each computer. Your IT providers don't go to each computer individually and do things. It's not a one-to-one. It's like they put these little software programs on every endpoint, as we call it, so that they can manage it, because it's impossible to do it manually anymore. So what you have to understand in the other piece is, I so often hear them say, well, we outsource that to IT so we don't have to worry about it. That is not what you do when you outsource.
No, that is the wrong answer. You should still worry about it.
What you are doing when you outsource is you are bringing in some expert skilled workers that you don't know how to manage yourself, and you don't want to pay for what it would cost to have them full-time job. But that does not mean anything else. You are counting on them to do a job, and you're hiring them to do the job. You're outsourcing the gathering of those skills and the application of the skills, but the work they're doing for you, you're still responsible for.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to tell people you can't outsource accountability ever. Like, you're still accountable for whatever any of your vendors are doing for you on your behalf. And if you don't believe me, and it doesn't take far to look to when things go wrong, who they come to. And they come to you, you had a data breach, you don't say, or you can say it, but you don't get to say, I outsourced that to IT. That's not going to work.
Yeah, and I don't understand a lot of the folks that believe, well, I outsource that. I mean, it's kind of like you're your own contractor, right? Your business, you built your business, and you've put together all of these variable pieces, whether you hire them internally or you contract with them external entities, is still your business. And that's the way you have to approach it. But the IT providers have to approach it even more so, because they know that you hired them to take care of these things, and they want to do that. But then they also have to worry about their own business, and they're not outsourcing it.
Right. Yeah. And this is one of the big reasons why, as an MSP, we want to bring everybody into the same ecosystem. We want them to have the same network devices under the same, brands and vendors. We want everything to be as similar as possible so that we can manage everything. We can't hire staff that are experts in 12 different types of, cybersecurity product. We find one or two or whatever, and that's it. We nail those down, and that's it. And that's why you see when MSPs come in, they'll say, great, you've got XYZ firewall. We don't support that. Or we'll support it best we can, but that's not the flavor that, that we provide. And so we want to remove that and put our own in, because our people are experts on this one. So that's one of the reasons we do that.
And isn't it like, I know a lot, I don't know if this is standard practice, but I know a lot of MSPs reach the point where they just kind of rolled in to their price for monthly support. They rolled in, here's your firewall, security, gateway, whatever you want to call it. That's just part of what you do, and it's more or less leased. And that operates, and we take care of that. And you can have whatever you have sitting there, but we're going to use this one.
Yeah. I mean, some do it, some don't. It depends on the operational maturity of the MSP and kind of just how they function. So some people believe, I'll support whatever the client has. I don't care, because it's, 50% of it is fairly similar and they'll just deal with it that way. So, some people will outsource it to where they have maybe the vendor itself provides support. And so they're just kind of calling the vendor every time there's an issue. But yeah, I mean, to your point, that's kind of the way we do it. We come in, and to whatever degree possible, we try to get that stuff out of the way as soon as we can.
Well, especially when you have things like, I don't know. I mean, we all see the complaints about Fortinet and the sheer volume of security CSVs, scores, vulnerabilities that have been identified within their products. Those pop up all the time. So when you come in and one of those is there, and look, if that gets hit, it could get into me, because it's possible, depending on how you're managing it. So there's a lot of accountability that goes towards you on that, right?
Yeah. It's a interesting conversation to have. I will say for me, oftentimes I try not to have too many of those conversations up front, like during the proposal phase. You're not even a client yet, and all of a sudden we're already talking about ripping this out and ripping that out and cost here and cost there. For me, I'm like, the way I feel about it is I don't yet have your full trust. And I don't want to come in with a price tag that's going to completely shock you to death. So I want to come in and let's get in there. Let's see what you have. Let's see where maybe the network devices need to be changed, but maybe that's not the biggest priority right now. But I don't know that yet. So let me get in there and then we'll figure that piece out. So I often don't come in with the whole let's rip it out and replace it mentality off the bat. It's usually like within the first year, we're going to have to do this, but I'm not even going to talk about that right now.
So that, but that's the level that IT providers have to worry about the details so that they can at least be prepared to deal with things. But on top of that, you also have to worry about yourself.
Yeah. And that's the bigger thing. We're looking after everybody else, but nobody's looking after us. And so we also have to look after ourselves. And it reminds me of the saying, like, don't ever buy a car from a mechanic. It's like they're so busy keeping everybody else's cars and everything up and running great that sometimes they don't have time to work on their own because it's just a challenge to do so. Now, the great thing with MSPs is we eat our own dog food. So every solution we bring in, we also are a customer to ourselves. We use it internally, and then we push it out to our clients as well. So the good thing about it is we have all the best of everything we have. We have it.
The high end. Oh, the best you can buy from me is what I use. That'd be a good way to put it.
Because we have clients that I would say, all right, you really don't qualify, or it really wouldn't make sense financially for you to have this. You could, you can do it if you want to, but for us, I'm like, I don't have to make that choice. We're gonna buy it either way because I'm selling it, and even though we have 10 employees, I wouldn't recommend this to another business that had 10 employees.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use it anyway. So yes, in that way, we are able to overprotect ourselves if there is such a thing.
But even knowing that, it's the thing that'll keep you up at night if you're up, right? It's not, it's never completely out of your mind that could happen at any time.
No. And I'll say that it's not about worrying about it. I don't want to get hung up on that term because everybody can say, I worry about this. My thing is, what are you doing to address the risk? Worrying about it is not addressing the risk. It's just worrying about it. So the key point is, yes, it's something we think about, but we are always looking at what are we doing for ourselves and for our clients to mitigate these risks. And new risks come every day, and we are constantly going back in, looking at our tools, looking at, okay, this vulnerability just came out. It's on a tool that we use. Have we mitigated it? Let's get this out there quickly. And that's everything from some IT tool to Microsoft coming out with something. And it's like, everybody that's using this Microsoft server or this Microsoft Office or whatever, we got to get these things pushed out quickly. And it's a constant battle.
Well, it's like the quote I remember hearing at one point where a CISO said that whenever anybody asked them how cybersecurity was going, for their organization, it was things are going great, but the situation is dire.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's it reminds me of an incident I recently had. I probably shouldn't tell it, but we live in a rural area. We often burn boxes and such in the yard, and it was a fairly dry day, and the grass was fairly dry. And the wind decided to pick up a little bit while it was burning.
I know where this is going.
And if you don't know, when the grass catches on fire, it doesn't burn in one direction. It kind of goes in every direction.
Where there's grass.
Yeah. So it reminds me of that, because as I was putting out the flames on one side, the flames were starting back up on the other side. And then I would go over there and put those out. And then the flames that I just put out, for some reason, something would rekindle, they would start back up. So I'm constantly running around in this 360-degree circle until finally everything's out. But that's my life every single day in IT. It's running in circles, putting out fires.
Exactly. So that's why when one IT provider gets hit, everyone feels IT. Get it?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Well, there's a great deal of, I'm trying to remember. We had the guy on that told us about the personal experience of when his business got hit and how much all these other IT providers jumped in to help because all these clients of theirs got hit. Now, thankfully, he didn't have health care, but when you look at the damage that can do to your client businesses, then that just multiplies the damage it's doing to your business. And and so the criminals now know if they could get into an IT provider, then that lets them get into potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of endpoints, depending on what size provider they get. Don't tell nobody.
Telling everybody? Shh.
The jig is up, buddy. Word's out. That's already out. So they could go after the MSP, and then the MSP connects them to a ton of different businesses, and they see it as a great gateway. And they have, the MSPs have the master key to every one of those businesses.
Yep. I remember a number of years ago when we decided to start changing the passwords on, like, the remote access passwords for computers and servers and such. There was a time when we would say, this is our admin password for all the clients. And then you couldn't do that anymore at some point. Well, I mean, you can, but we decided, okay, it's too risky to do that now. We need to have a different password for every client. And then we changed that. So then every client had their own password. And then it was like, okay, now every client has to have their own password, and it has to be changed periodically on a certain schedule. And then we started doing that. And now today, it's like, nobody has any password for any admin. It's all created on the fly, just in time. We use it, and it gets deleted immediately after we use it. And that all this has happened just within the past 7 years. That's how many iterations of how that's handled.
And for those, there's plenty of people that still have the password they had 7 years ago on the admin.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just one story to show you how we are mitigating the thing we're worrying about, not just worrying about it.
Yeah. So in this report, one of the things they talked about is that they had done another state of SMB cybersecurity. So ConnectWise does several reports, and I was just I saw something that referenced this report, and it reminded me I wanted to go through it. But it was referencing that in the SMB study from 2024, 78% of MSPs surveyed said they were worried a serious attack could put them out of business. And where do you land on that question, David?
I worry about the other 22%. I mean,
yeah.
I would like to talk to them and find out, why are you not worried about it? Maybe it's just they feel like it's not going to put them out of business, but it would hurt. I don't know. But
yeah,
I would expect that number to be higher than 78%.
And you've got to constantly be investing in the tools. And you're right. The best thing you can do is get the best tools that are available for your clients and then use them yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the key phrase there is put them out of business. I don't think it would put me out of business. It would probably make me want to be out of business.
There's something to be said for that. Well, and I think when all of this first started, when they first had the big strikes, those were when they were still encrypting, right? And they would just go out and encrypt. And so I think it changed their tactic because they can't just launch now because they've got to deal with all the different individual networks. I'm wondering if it's harder to see that it's coming through an MSP now, unless the MSP figures it out and does something about it.
Yeah, it could be.
So that's a concern. And I mean, we heard enough stories of MSPs that we thought were hit with the other ransomware, when it was encrypting and trying to hide it because they felt for sure it would put them out of business. So we've seen a lot of things that made us question it and kind of be almost certain that might have been what happened. But that part of the encrypting, that was bad enough. But, it has now, and it had been slowly moving over. They don't even bother encrypting most of the time, do they? I mostly see just data extortion as the story for most cases now.
Yeah, I don't hear about it as much anymore. Like you said, it's usually they steal the data, they extort the data. I mean, at that point, it's like, well, what are you going to do? So I don't know, but it's certainly still happening.
Well, it's like we used to say: if you pay the ransom, you're counting on them being honest criminals and giving you the proper encryption key. And then they had gotten to where they would give you one, and then that would decrypt it down to, okay, instead of one big file, now there's 7. Okay, now I have to buy 7 encryption keys. Then that breaks it apart. Now I have to buy more. And they were hitting people that way for a long time because once they got you to buy one, they knew you had to buy them all. And a ridiculous number often. But when you look at now, they just take the data or say they've taken the data, which I've seen that one now too. It's like a phishing or spam email telling you they took your data.
Yeah. That's, it's kind of the same as they used to do when they say, we got pictures of you doing stuff. So it's like, I mean, how many times did people pay without any evidence? Just like now, we took your data. How many times would people pay without evidence? There's a large number of people that would still pay. They would freak out and they would pay something.
Well, the idea being they're not already sold. They've sold the data, and they're going to get you to pay them. So, what's the difference? They're still able to extract money from victims. And when you look at that concept of I hit the MSP and then I now have a way into all of their clients and I use some little a little script that sneaks in, runs to all of the clients, puts in a back door and sends me a message. And hopefully your security software would pick that up, but maybe not because it's trusting you and thinking you are the one that intended that to happen. So it is complicated, and then they're able to bury stuff. Now, I got one of the security alerts today was like WhatsApp, which not a fan of, but so many people use it. You kind of have to load it, use it, take it off. It's brutal, but it's the only way you can communicate with some people. And it's becoming more and more prolific, if you will. But they're able now to, in these discussion groups, spread malware to everybody in the group. all you have to do is have one of the people at an IT company in one of those groups, and now I could potentially get them. So that's what people don't understand about how many things you have to worry about is not only do you have to worry about whether or not somebody in your office is on something like that and picking up something, but also your IT provider picking up something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. If people want to know, if the bad guys want to know who MSPs are, it's not very hard. You just go to the watering holes. You go to the IT Facebook groups, and there's peer groups and everything else. It's not very hard to get in and see who's an MSP. And on top of that, based on the discussions, you can kind of tell not necessarily what their security stack is, even though some people will tell you, but you can at least understand what their maturity level is and whether or not they would be an easier target.
Yeah, and add to that the ones where we've talked about this before, where the criminals are now getting IT jobs.
Yeah, they are.
And they're patient.
That's a problem.
They just sit and wait. Yeah, they just sit and wait. They're very, very patient. They can, work for a couple of years. As long as they are careful and learn their way around, they get more and more access and more control the longer you're there. And
not just that, but we covered a while back. We covered I think it was a report where a bunch of students, like IT students, I believe it was at a university, was asked, like, would you give away access to patient information, like on a famous person, if somebody paid you $10,000? And it was something like 80-something% was like, yeah, I'll absolutely give them the information they want. And so that just goes to show you, now it may not have been IT people, it may have been nurses or whatever, I don't remember. The point being that at a certain amount of money, you have insider risk at all times. It's just a matter of how much somebody's willing to take in order to become that insider risk.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it'd be worth, doing a survey. How much would it take? At what amount would you just give up the ghost? And it's the same whether it's, somebody working the front desk at a doctor's office or at an IT firm or anywhere else. It's the same issue we all have.
Well, I mean, you show me somebody who's working for a company, whether it's an IT firm or practice. You show me somebody who's working there, who gets on social media and makes any indication they're having financial problems, and that's somebody I can target to say, I can help you with your financial problems if you can help me with something. Mm-hmm. And that could be bad.
Very much so. And there's so many ways to target people. The mice thing that we've talked about before. What is it? Money, ideology. What's the C? Is something about it. Yeah. But it's the same way that a spy organization, back in the Cold War, they developed that concept of how to turn somebody into a spy or a double agent or whatever they're trying to do. And it's called mice, and you'll see that happening. So, it's seriously terrifying with anybody, but you add it to the IT provider's concern, and now it gets bigger and bigger. All right, what is it, David?
So it's money, ideology, coercion, or ego.
Okay. Yeah. So how much money will it take? If that doesn't work, what can I do to get you fired up? If that doesn't work, what can I get on you that you'll be willing to pay and blackmail you?
Yep.
And if that doesn't work, let me tell you how awesome you are.
It's not just that. It's ego also refers to somebody becoming a malicious insider because of unfair treatment. And so it's, you don't deserve to be treated that way. You're a much better person than that. That's what gets them.
Yeah. So It is, you are being held back by those people. But there's so many different ways. And in particular, if you've got somebody in your organization and you've been fortunate enough to hire your own internal IT department, this is your problem. You have the same problem, because if they're not using some sort of these tools to manage a bunch of devices, then you're probably paying for too many people, or you're not getting all your devices managed, is my thought. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And you just got to be careful on all this stuff.
Yeah, so they go after the tools or they go after the people. And, they have they can attack in so many different ways. So they have the encryption we talked about. We talked about the stealing the data, and then everybody got excited when the FBI shut down Lockbit.
Yeah, the other thing this report brings up is the fact that it still has the continual threat of drive-by attacks on SMBs, which means they're still using, the attackers are still using low-tech but very effective methods. Not everything is headline grabbing malware attacks. Sometimes it's just some vulnerability that it should have been patched or wasn't, and they just find it and they get in.
Yeah, the 0 days and all of those kind of things. The minute they figure one out, they're not reporting it so it get fixed. Let's just be clear here. They're making sure they're using
they
it.
aren't. They aren't. But the other thing is, if a 0 day was the only problem, that would be fine. But when there are patches that have been out for months and sometimes years, and they still are vulnerable to those things, that's a big, big issue. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen any MSPs where that's an issue. I see that where clients aren't using MSPs, and that's an issue.
Yeah. And you would hope that your MSPs are keeping everything up to date and doing all of the right things on their own stuff. But that gets back to, you should be asking them questions, and not just this stuff, but how are you managing your own HIPAA compliance? What about your policies and procedures? What about your training? There's often this, well, so-and-so use them, so I'm sure that is the thing that drives me nuts. You should have your own conversations.
Yep. Yeah. It's the approval by proxy.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the referrals, but I want to earn the trust and respect all by myself. I'm willing to do that. I got it from them. But, you have to get to that point. And I appreciate that a lot of people, have that trust. But at the same time, when you're looking at the IT provider, I mean, it pales in comparison to most other things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So let's look at what MSPs and our clients can do, because we always like to talk about what you can do. We just don't want to complain about the problem. We want to offer solutions. So let's not just talk about all the bad stuff. All right. So here's some things that the report recommends, the kind of overall themes, and we'll dive into some of these maybe for a split second. But it's everything we've talked about all the time. So it's like we don't need to go into this. One is the fact that you have, continuous monitoring, and, it does you no good if nobody's looking. That's the part that drives me crazy. Oftentimes it's when somebody's like, well, we handle our own IT, or the business owner does the IT work. Yeah, you're making sure the printers work or whatever, but you're not continuously monitoring anything. You can't possibly do both. So that's, number one. The other thing is patch and vulnerability management. And let me emphasize management, because patching and vulnerabilities happen constantly. And I'll tell you, one of the bad habits that I see some MSPs doing is, because you can put patching in automation mode, they aren't always going back and making sure things are actually getting patched. They're just going, hey, we set up a thing, it patches automatically. Every time a thing comes out, it gets patched, It's just set it and forget it. And it's not, because things don't get patched. Systems are offline. The patch failed for whatever reason. Something needs to be rebooted. It has to be managed. There's no such thing as patching without patch management.
I used it's a really cool tool, but for our devices, I use a tool called Action One, which is really cool if you haven't checked it out. And I use it just because we've got a handful of us. But just with my handful of devices, I have to stay on top of it because there's always something, and I have it alert me, and then I'm checking it periodically, along with getting alerts that I then go and look at when I get them. So,
well, it is worth saying for those people who don't know, you used to run an MSP. Carding used to be an MSP. So you're not a business owner taking IT into your own hands. You used to do this stuff. And then one day you woke up and you said, I don't want to do that anymore. So, it's a little different. You're a different unicorn.
Everything about me is that. So we'll
I don't know. Unicorn, rhinoceros, I don't know. But yes.
Something.
So the other one is, the other thing I want to bring up is layer tools beyond your endpoint detection.
Yes.
Now, we've talked quite a lot recently about having layer tools and should they be under the same vendor, a different vendor. I mean, that's potato, whatever. I have my views on it, but people do it both ways. Just make sure you have tools beyond endpoint protection. And if you don't know what that is, that's protecting your PCs and all that. Back in the day, you used to be able to say, I've got antivirus or I have anti-malware, and that's good enough. That is not good enough anymore. And you need to have tools looking, they're overlapping in what they do, so that basically one tool is looking at what another tool might be doing. And you want to have those different layers, and multiple layers should be happening.
Because just like there is, I'm trying to be careful about how I say it, but I seriously doubt that there is any tool that can guarantee that they would catch 100% of whatever's going on.
Yeah, I would be scared if somebody said that. It's probably like a big red flag. I don't know that we'd get far in that conversation.
I'm sure there's salespeople that'll say it, but
you're right.
I'm like, you can't say that. Anytime somebody says that to me, I'm immediately like, you're clearly sales.
Yeah. Even if you said 99.9%, I'm still like,
That are a way overconfident technical person, which you do run into those.
Yeah. And then the last point here, arguably the most hardest.
Hardest?
Is that a good?
Most hardest.
Yes. It is not the hardest, and it is not the most. It is the most hardest. I'm telling you, man, it's educating clients about threats, because I have somewhat control of the other ones. I have no control on whether or not a client will actually take in the education. I can provide the education, and they can go hippa schmippa, security, shmurity, whatever. They don't care. Great. I'm glad you have the security in place. Let me quickly find a way to work around it. Whatever it is, it's the hardest part in the world. I swear, I think some people, they get a kick out of when IT says you can't do that, they take that as a challenge.
That's right.
Like, no, it's not a challenge. It's to say, don't do that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Thank you. That's the problem right there. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You got to be watching for that just as much as you're watching for things that you're getting alerted to by devices. And that for me is one of the hardest parts, because humans, well, we don't need to go there.
Before we bash humans too much, let's talk about what are we going to do about the non-humans?
Yeah, because at this point, I think we're going to have to end everything we talk about. If it's not included, we have to add it at the end. What are we going to do about AI?
That's just it. Crickets. That's exactly right. As one post I saw today on LinkedIn, the question was posed by somebody in the IT community. What are we going to do about AI? And the answer was, yes, we should do something about AI. It's funny, but this is where we are. Like, we don't know. Everybody's waiting on somebody to come up with some solution. And I don't have the ability to necessarily solve the problem. I'm trying to figure it out myself because I don't have something to solve it with yet. The tools aren't there. So it's still something everybody's trying to figure out.
And if I ask one of your clients, what are they doing about AI? What would they do?
Oh, David's got it. He's got it handled. He's got it handled. I ain't worried about it. And it's, the thing about it, just to end on this, when we talk about AI, it's not just, AI is like this big cloud thing, right? It's overarching whatever. Nobody knows what it is. You talk about, hey, do you use AI? Somebody's like, no, I don't use AI. Or I just laugh because I'm like, yes, if you're doing a Google search, you're using AI. So you're using AI. Or you've got products that's baked it in. And you're like, no, I don't use that AI, but they got this new thing in the software that answers my questions for me automatically. This is great. And then there's generative AI. Then there's agentic AI, not the same. And people don't necessarily understand what that even is. So the point is, it's a big problem. And there's not yet a solution about what we're going to do about AI to protect ourselves, not from AI itself, but from what people do with AI.
Yes. And what AI then decides to do based on what people tell it and teach it.
Yeah. I don't know if are you familiar with Moltbook? I don't even want to have a huge conversation on this yet. All right. So we'll dive into this later. But the short of it is, there is a social media platform that was created specifically for AI agents. It's not for humans. It's a social media platform for AI agents. If that's not crazy enough, the part that really blows my mind is some security measures that should have been put in place were not. And then maybe we'll talk more about that later. But again, AI, security, what are we going to do about it? The problem is proceeding much faster than the solution.
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right. That's all I got. That's all I got. Just understand, if your MSP is not worried about anything else, they should be worried about that.
Yes.
So again, I'm not worried about the whole AI's taking over thing. That may come at some other point. What I'm worried about is what people are using for AI for, what the information they're putting in there. It's not secured properly. I was thinking about this earlier. We always talk about data leak.
Yeah.
The thought came to me that we need to change the term. It's not a leak. It's like a gushing river. It's, like we need to turn off this mental image of data dripping out of a pipe somewhere. It's not that. It's like a water main break. It's going everywhere. But anyway, that's it. That is me for today. What about you, Donna?
I got nothing to add to that. Nothing. I got nothing.
All right. I'm getting off this soapbox. All right, folks. That is our show for today. Thanks for listening. Be sure to join us again next week. And remember, for Donna and myself, HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.